Jordan Sheridan live on what's today? Tuesday? Wednesday? I don't even know. It is Wednesday, June 5th, 2019. Hope everyone's having a lovely, lovely day. I am Jordan Sheridan, status quo here at the mothership in New York City, and there's a lot going on. I just got back from RT America, where I did an interview on Redacted Tonight, which I think will go up tomorrow, updating with the latest on the Flint water crisis. We'll have an update on that later on in this live stream. Jen and I are working on a whole lot of things behind the scenes, too, so I'm a little flummoxed. Is the word. Got so much going on. But of course, happy to be here live as always, 5 o'clock Eastern time. Which reminder, make sure you put it in your phone or your iPad or your laptop or on your refrigerator, 5 o'clock Eastern time, Monday through Friday. And noon Eastern time on Sunday, we're live. Because if you haven't noticed, YouTube doesn't always like to tell you. YouTube doesn't always like to tell you when we're live. So, I digress. Donald Trump has been out in UK playing with the Queen, and the corporate media has been covering that. But there's a lot of more important stories going on that we're going to get into today. As always, please help Status Quo get around the suppression by smashing that like button. If you're on your mobile device, X out of the live chat and you'll see the thumbs up. Press that thumbs up and then you could go back into the live chat function. If you're on your laptop, it's that thumbs up right under this video. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see the live stream. This is how YouTube's algorithm works, and we definitely need as many likes as possible so we can get this out to more people. The good old days of just not being suppressed are over. Thank you, Paul Biso Gaming, starting us in the super chat, $2. This is a super chat. So if you're feeling super, let us know. Become a Status Quo member. We're going to talk about that later. Follow us at Status Quo on the Twitter. We're almost at 6,000 Twitter followers. And frankly, we really just started actively tweeting. We were kind of derelict on our Twitter for a while. So we've been really actively tweeting. So follow us at Status Quo. I'm at Jordan Sheridan. Subscribe to our podcast. That's bit.ly/Status Quo podcast. And join our email list. That's at statusquo.com. And as a reminder, if you want independent journalism, press the like button. Ooh, I got a hole in my shirt. How's that for authentic, real journalism? Didn't even realize. So, this is a super chat, by the way. And just to give you a little update, thank you, Colin Tooley, $2 in the super chat. We're now at $55,490 in our GoFundMe. We just began pushing GoFundMe again. We allowed GoFundMe to kind of hibernate for a few months, and we didn't push it because we weren't able to go live for a few months. Now that we're back, we're pushing that GoFundMe, so we're now just $510 away from $56,000. Thank you, Andrea, $25 4 hours ago. Mike, $25, $5 from Marcy, $25 from MC, $5 from Ted, and on we go. If you haven't noticed, we now have our first actual reporter, Marcus Ely, other than me, obviously. He was covering the Bernie in Nevada over the weekend. He also covered the California Democratic Convention. And to some of you folks in the comments under his videos, Jesus, you want perfection immediately. He's new. He's a little young around the ears. Give him a chance. I'm going to mentor him. You can't expect somebody to be, smoking fire right out of the gate. I wasn't that great when I started. So everybody relax. But I'm a big fan of Marcus, and we're going to have to raise a lot more money to keep him. Right now, we got money to keep him for about 2 months. So that's why we are actively pushing GoFundMe. So if you could leave, the minimum is $5. Any amount counts. Obviously, no amount is too high, and no amount is too low. So we begin with a man named Bernard. Bernie Sanders, while Joe Biden is out doing fundraisers with Comcast, Apparently, he's going to be doing a fundraiser with Goldman Sachs. I kid you not. He's been doing fundraisers with greedy corporate CEOs. He's been doing fundraisers with pharmaceutical executives. I mean, you can't make this up. Joe Biden does not care. He's not even trying to pretend. While Joe Biden is out doing that, he's fundraising more than campaigning. Sound like Hillary Clinton in 2016? Bernie Sanders is out with the people. He's out with the people. And Bernie Sanders was at Walmart's shareholders meeting today, basically fighting and standing up for Walmart's workers. So here's some of Bernie at the shareholders meeting. Here we go.
This resolution, and it states, and I quote, "Resolved, shareholders of Walmart urge the board to adopt a policy of promoting significant representation of employee perspectives among corporate decision makers by requiring that the initial list of candidates from which new nominees are chosen by the Nominating and Governance Committee include hourly associates. The policy should provide that any third-party consultant asked to furnish an initial list will be requested to include such candidates." End of quote, end of resolution. Madam Chair, the issue that we are dealing with today is pretty simple. Walmart is the largest private employer in America and is owned by the Walton family, the wealthiest family in the United States, worth approximately $175 billion. And yet, despite the incredible wealth of its owner, Walmart pays many of its employees starvation wages. Wages that are so low that many of these employees are forced to rely on government programs like food stamps, Medicaid, and public housing in order to survive. Frankly, the American people are sick and tired of subsidizing the greed of some of the largest and most profitable corporations in this country. They are also outraged by the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America, as demonstrated by the CEO of Walmart making 1,000 times more than the average Walmart employee. Last year, Walmart made nearly $10 billion in profit. It paid its CEO over $20 million in compensation, and it has authorized $20 billion in stock buybacks, which will benefit its wealthiest stockholders. Surely, with all of that, Walmart can afford to pay its employees a living wage of at least $15 an hour. And that is not a radical idea, because many of Walmart's...
Senator Bernie Sanders, of course, presidential hopeful, with a proposal at the Walmart shareholder meeting to...
So let's just get the numbers out here, shall we? Let's just get the numbers out here. Walmart made $10 billion in profits last year. $10 billion. $10 billion. And if you have not pressed the like button, press the like button, the thumbs up right under the video. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this live stream. They made $10 billion largely off the backs of people like this.
Working at Walmart has been mentally and physically draining due to the fact that Working at Walmart has been mentally and physically draining due to the fact that we're understaffed, underpaid. I'm constantly having to worry about whether or not my hours are going to get cut, and because we have inconsiderate management and policies that don't have the associates' best interest in mind. That's why I'm so excited to hear about Senator Sanders speaking on our behalf as shareholders. It excites me to know that someone like Senator Sanders is willing to speak on our behalf concerning having Walmart associates on the board.
That's just one person who works at Walmart. Bernie gave up his Twitter account, and he had a whole flowing list of Walmart's abused and underpaid workers. But a company that's making $10 billion in profit and paying most of its workers at the high end $11 an hour, what you call that is theft. That $10 billion in profit is coming from those workers, not the Walmart CEO or its shareholders. So when you're gorging and gorging and gorging and gorging $10 billion in profits, you're stealing from the actual producers of that labor. And I think this Bernie Sanders tweet put it well. In 2017, 4 of the Waltons made $12.7 billion in one day. $12.7 billion in one day. To make as much as the Waltons did in that one day, it would take a Walmart worker working full-time at $11 an hour more than 257,000 years. This is why we demand an end to their greed. Can you imagine that for a second? I mean, I'd take on Jeff Bezos, who was making, I think, $266 million an hour? No, excuse me, a day. The Waltons, $12.7 billion in one day. This is nothing short. Let's not even bother calling it capitalism. It is capitalism. It's called theft. It's called stealing. You are stomping on mostly poor. I don't know the exact demographics, but a hell of a lot of minority workers at Walmart to buy yourself multiple, homes in the multiples of 10. I'm sure that the Waltons have 20, 30 homes. Your yachts, the best of the best. Stomping on your workers. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand why Bernie Sanders is pretty much the only one who's been fighting against this for many, many years. I mean, you have people coming like Johnny-come-latelys now. You got Julian Castro out fighting for 15. Governor Jay Inslee out there fighting for 15. But Bernie Sanders has been the only one consistent. And this is not it's not a progressive issue or a conservative issue. It's a human rights issue. Because these people at Walmart are at the mercy. I watched a video. They're at the mercy of their abusive managers. So it's even hard to keep a second job because most of these people need to work 2 to 3 jobs because their hours are always changing at Walmart. And the Walmart at the shareholders meeting today, in response to Bernie Sanders, this is what Walmart has to say. We welcome Bernie Sanders on his campaign stop to Northwest Arkansas. Here are a few facts I'm fairly certain he won't acknowledge while describing his outdated view of Walmart. No other company in the U.S. is making debt-free college education accessible to more than 1 million people for about $1 a day. Oh, that buzzword, debt-free college, which really isn't debt-free. But anyway, Hillary Clinton used this. It doesn't mean anything. It's not debt-free. But anyway, no other company has opened 200 training academies providing enhanced workforce skill building for hundreds of thousands just this past year. Advanced workplace skills for what? To go work at Walmart for $11? If you're lucky. Not everybody at Walmart makes $11. No other company has hired more than 225,000 veterans in the last 5 years. No other company in America has pledged to avoid emissions in the supply chain by 1 billion metric tons by 2030. Oh, how kind of you. How kind of you. The men and women of America who are fighting our absurd wars for the price of witnessing heinous wars for the price of their PTSD, they get to come home and make $11 an hour at Walmart. Man, if I knew that, I would have joined the military a long time ago. Oh, so kind. And Walmart, they're trying to do we're patriots. We hire veterans to work at starvation wages. I give homeless people money whenever I can. Me personally, does that mean I'm doing something to alleviate the homeless problem? No. You don't get a pat on the back for hiring veterans at starvation wages. And he also had to say, and we're one of the largest federal income taxpayers, recently contributing nearly 2% of all corporate taxes. Oh my God. Jen, are you in the super chat? Can we throw a parade for Walmart that they pay taxes? Oh my Lord, let's throw a parade for Walmart and the Waltons. They pay 2% of corporate taxes. Thank you, Michael. $2 in the super chat. This is a super chat, and remember, we are trying to grow our GoFundMe again. GoFundMe is the major way we're going to be able to keep Marcus and expand our reporting in the field. So if you got $5, $10, $20, drop it in the GoFundMe if you can. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to show you Bernie after the shareholders meeting. He rallied the crowd as well.
Is $11 an hour. One might think that a family worth $175 billion would be able to pay its employees a living wage. And yet, as you all know, the starting wage at Walmart now is $11 an hour. And people cannot make it on $11 an hour. You can't pay rent. You can't get health care. You can't feed your kids. Or put gas in the car on $11 an hour.
Just want dignity.
And what we are also saying, it is a little bit absurd that many Walmart employees are forced to go on government programs like Medicaid or food stamps or public housing subsidized by the taxpayers of this country. So all we are saying to the Walton family and Walmart, pay your workers a living wage. That living wage is $15 an hour. This is not a radical idea. We've made progress in the last year. We've worked with Amazon employees. They have raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. We've worked with Disney employees. They've raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. Target is moving to $15 an hour. This company, owned by the wealthiest family in America, can pay $15 an hour. Today we are here to fight for the dignity of Walmart employees, to make sure that every employee at Walmart has at least a living wage. So I just want to thank all of you for standing together. The entire country is watching.
So I have a few thoughts on this. Number one, is anybody else in awe? I mean, I'm not trying to be a Bernie bro here, but it's kind of laughable to me how anyone said, oh, he's too old. This man has campaigned more than any other candidate. The only other candidate that he's even been remotely close to covering as much ground as Bernie Sanders is Elizabeth Warren. She has been out and about all over the country. $2 to the super chat, D Dark. Thanks. Don't have $1 billion, but I could spare $2. Hey, every dollar counts. Thank you. This is a super chat, so let's keep it going. This is how Status Coup grows. And press the like button and press the share button. So, number one, anyone who says, oh, he's too old, I would be literally passed out if I was going at the pace of Bernie Sanders. I'm 32, he's 77. So, BS. Number two, it's, listen, I'm not going to criticize him, but it's also hard to live on $15 an hour. Let's be honest. $15 an hour is not some magic Trojan horse when you have prices going up on everything over the last 10 to 20 years. So, but it's a start. Once we get to $15, then we start going towards 20, 25, 30. But I digress. The third thing is, how are you going to beat Donald Trump and his insanity and his fraudulent populism without actual populism? How are you going to do that? What you just saw, Bernie Sanders out there fighting with Walmart, fighting alongside Walmart workers. what Bernie Sanders, he just said he's going to be fighting at an event with McDonald's workers this weekend. Thank you, Sergio, 99 cents in the super chat. This is the contrast you need to a, frankly, authoritarian. This is the contrast you need to a fake populist. Because the data is the data. The majority of Walmart workers are either on welfare, working 3 jobs. You know, I've interviewed Walmart workers that on their spare time are going to pawn shops and trying to sell anything just to make the rent. So how you dispute and how you debunk Trump's booming economy is with real populism and real stories of downtrodden workers. Also, how you avoid what happened with Hillary Clinton in 2016. If you don't know the numbers, Hillary Clinton had 5% less African Americans come out for her as compared to Obama in 2012. She had 5% less age 18 to 29 come out for her compared to Obama in 2012. She had 6% less Latinos come out for her as compared to Obama in 2012. 6% less Latinos when you have a man calling Mexicans rapists and drug lords and want to put a wall around Mexico. That's why she lost. Those 3 numbers. It wasn't Jill Stein. It wasn't Vladimir Putin. Honestly, it wasn't James Comey either. She was a terrible candidate. She didn't inspire. She was corrupt. And you didn't have an actual populist contrast to Donald Trump. Well, Bernie Sanders is giving you that. He's out fighting for Walmart workers. He's going to be out fighting for McDonald's workers. He has fought for Verizon workers. He has fought for Amazon's workers. He has fought for Disney's workers. And probably several more that I'm forgetting. This is how you win. But the problem is, why is it that Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Beto O'Rourke, Julian Castro, Pete, America's favorite mayor, Pete, and all these Johnny-come-lately progressives who are not progressive, why is it that they won't go to shareholder meetings like that? Why is it that they won't picket with McDonald's workers or Verizon workers, this and that? Because probably some of their donors are on Walmart's board. Hillary Clinton was on Walmart's board in the 1980s. Democratic Party donors are either shareholders in Walmart or in that filthy, rotten oligarchy that they don't want their money touched. Why is it that CNN won't cover it? Because CNN's owned by AT&T. AT&T don't want to see minimum wage going up all across the country. Bernie Sanders also, and this is what Walmart really hates, I think they would rather give $15 an hour. Bernie's also talking about, we need workers on your board, because that's where the power is, board of directors. Yeah, Bernie's even fighting for BuzzFeed's workers. When does this man sleep? He just tweeted out the other day attacking BuzzFeed, who won't, talks a good talk, but basically won't give their union anything. Sven says, Comcast Joe is too busy telling anecdotes and plagiarizing policy documents. Oh my God, Joe Biden. I got a few stories on Joe Biden, but oh my God, this man, the arrogance. I tell you, and some of you don't like when I say this, but I'm just keeping it real, and I'd like to know what Jen thinks. I mean, I think Joe Biden is worse than Hillary Clinton. You put a gun to my head, I think Joe Biden is worse. I mean, it's not to say I would have been able to stomach Hillary Clinton as president. But this man has a way, way, way longer record. I'm going to read you something he said in the 1970s that will blow your mind. I think he's worse. So, at the bottom line is Bernie Sanders going to convince the Waltons to do the right thing? I doubt it. I don't think the Waltons care enough. I don't think they want to give an inch. I think they're greedy, awful, evil people. But it's about something bigger than whether he could get it done with Walmart. at the end of the day, you know, the media pushing this nonsense. And by the way, Joe Biden has lost 7 points in most polls since his bump. I told you at the time, besides the polling all being BS, besides the polls all oversampling voters over 50, no offense to those over 50, it would, you know, his lead would shrink. But what's really amazing is, you know, the corporate media wants to pretend that this anti-establishment fervor that took over the country in 2016, oh, that's gone. People now, they just want, you know, normalcy. They want a normal leader who could, you know, make America normal again, as Joe Biden says. No, they don't. That anti-establishment fever that was behind Bernie Sanders and behind Donald Trump, even though he was lying, is still there. It's thicker. It's more. It's at a higher intensity than it was in 2016. And you're going to stick Joe Biden up against Donald Trump, corporate Comcast Joe Biden, and you expect him to inspire people in the Midwest, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. But there's something else that I think Bernie is doing here. I think he's doing it just because this is who Bernie is and he's fighting for those workers. But paycheck to paycheck, low-income workers that work at Walmart and Burger King, a lot of them are minorities. A lot of them are minorities. Of course, there's poor white people too. There's a lot of minorities working at these fast food chains, Walmart, Target. They're going to know which presidential candidate has been fighting for them, which one has showed up, and it's not Joe Biden. I think that's going to make a big, big difference when you're talking primary time, because yes, black voters will, in some quarters, gravitate to Joe Biden because of Obama and the Obama connection. But show me what you've done for me lately. Thank you, D-Hawk. $5. Super chat. I love Bernie, but I'm terrified that they'll cheat him if he wins. I can see them letting him win. I can't see them letting him win. I hear you. But as Greg Palast says, Greg Palast, great investigative journalist I've interviewed, they can't rig all the elections all the time. Bernie is going to have to overperform to kind of account for some of the ways they're going to try to cheat it. But it's all about, Bernie always says, it's all about voter turnout. And I think Bernie is going to have a lot more younger voters than last time, and he had a record number of younger voters. I think he's going to have a lot more Latino voters. Data and polls show he is number one among Latino voters right now. I think he's going to have a lot more black people voting for him this time too, for the very reason that we're seeing now. Because he's fighting for the people and with the people. In 2016, his campaign, frankly, was a beep show, trying not to get demonetized. So he didn't have the staffing or the organization to actually have his tentacles like he has right now in so many different things. He's with McDonald's one day. He's with Verizon the other day. He's with Walmart another day. He's coming up with farming policy in Iowa. He's coming up with criminal justice policy for South Carolina. He's coming up with policies for what was that one? Oh, stock buybacks. He has a much more well-oiled machine this time. So he's right on the politics, and he's also right on the morality. And don't think he's just going to go to the Walmart shareholders meeting and then be done with it. And this, by the way, this, in contrast to Joe Biden, who, remember Joe? Joe Biden said, 500 so billionaires aren't the problem with America. Now he's defending his high dollar fundraisers. The stuff about Biden with the big contributors, he told Fox News, my Lord, this idea of Biden, the big donor guy, come on. I've eschewed any relationships with any PACs. Oh, he's eschewed any relationships with any PACs. And touting his grassroots contributions, Biden appeared to reveal for the first time the number of individual donors to his campaign, saying we've had over 300,000 individual contributors. Average contribution of these is under $200. Well, first of all, does Joe Biden think people are so stupid that I don't have a super PAC, so I'm not corrupt? Does he think people are cheering for him to have private fundraisers with Comcast? Does he think people are cheering for him when he has private fundraisers with Republican lobbyists in Florida? Status Coup did a story about that. Go to statuscoup.com. Does he think it's cool to do fundraisers with Goldman Sachs, which is being planned right now for Joe Biden? Does he think it's cool to take money, you're talking taking money from union busters while saying, I'm a union man? All of this is going to come out, Joe. Say it ain't Joe. Of course, the media is going to try to cover it up. But I think this anti-establishment fervor is so strong that people are not that stupid anymore. People had a big problem with Hillary Clinton. Do you remember? I got a public position and a private position. So while Bernie's out with the people, Joe Biden is saying, nobody thinks, nobody cares about my high dollar fundraisers. And by the way, average donation of under $200, that's not a small dollar grassroots revolution. And if your average donation is under $200, that's a pretty high average donation. Most people don't have $200 to donate to candidates. Most small dollar donors donate $10, $20. Bernie has the $27 thing going on. And Bernie's average donation was $20 in the first few months of this campaign. And remember, if you have not pressed the like button, we got 300 people watching, but only 168 likes. So we need 150 of you to smash that like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that see the live stream. Very, very simple. Elam, sad you people really think he's going to win. Hey, Elam, if you want to have a cynical, woe is me, nothing ever good is going to happen in life, what's the point of waking up? I think there is a chance that Bernie can win. And his campaign is a lot more organized and efficient this time around. So we'll see what happens, but I got to tell you, the contrast that Bernie Sanders is starting to form, not just against Donald Trump, but against Joe Biden, is exactly what he needs to do to win this nomination and to pick off and attract the voters he did not have as strong in 2016. African Americans, bring out even more young people, because as I said in 2016, after Bernie lost, there is millions and millions of more 18-year-old Latinos that are going to be voting in 2020, 18-year-old African Americans that are going to be voting in 2020, 18-year-old LGBTQ that are going to be voting in 2020, 18 millions more 18-year-old white people, and they're not feeling the Biden. D Doc, $5 in the super chat. Any word on the Dem debates? Are they going to be randomized in terms of who's paired with whom? Hope they don't hide Joe from Bernie or Warren. The DNC says they're going to be random. I wouldn't be surprised if randomly Biden is not on the same stage as Bernie, because the DNC is going to try to rig it. And I want to see what random looks like. I want to see how they're preparing to draw names. I want to see that process. And I hope that we get credentials to go down to the DNC, because the DNC isn't a big fan of us since we actually cover the news accurately. So we'll see. Before I get to my next topic, I want to remind you the only way Status Coup grows is through you. We are at 437 paid Status Coup members. Love the member meter going up. So obviously, we have many goals. We want to hit 500, preferably by the end of June. You can become a Status Coup member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. We are not telling you what we're going to do with the money. We are showing you what you're going to do with the money. We just had Marcus out in Nevada and California. I have been on the road repeatedly over the last few months, covering the stories no one else will cover. I'm actually talking right now to some folks about doing another in-the-field trip on something super, super important. We, unlike others, are not asking you to fund us $5 a month or $10 a month so that we could give you 24/7 Trump in Russia. So I hope for those of you watching, all 300 of you, all 300 of you, if you got $5 a month, become a status kit, become a status slayer. If you got $10 a month, become a coup de champion, and you get a little bit more at the $10 level. Become a coup de commander at $20 a month, and you get a little bit more. Or become a part of the coup de cavalry. That's $179 annually instead of paying monthly. This is how we grow. This is how we cover expenses. This is how we get on the road in the field. This is how, when we're in the field, we don't have to look over our head and be like, oh, well, we could only afford 2 days, because it takes a while to break news. It takes a while to investigate. But we have the will. We want to grow through you. We don't want to grow through corporate money. We're not taking meetings with corporate pariahs. We don't want to grow through special interests. We have a very radical idea, and that's to grow through the people. So if you don't have the money monthly, we understand. We don't want to make your situation worse. If you do, think about how much is real, independent, in the field, keyword, in the field, journalism worth $5 a month, $10 a month. I think it is. So, statuscoup.com/join. As we get new member signups, we will update you. Again, we're at 437. By the way, this is to go with our 330 patrons. So we are now, I think, like 760 something combined. So this is really, really strong. This is how you grow a real independent media company without having to sell out. We are not selling out, period, end of story. Period, end of story. And if you saw our new reporter, part of hiring that new reporter, we don't have all the money yet to keep him. I fronted the money. But part of hiring that new reporter is because of you guys being members. So the more members we get, the more monthly revenue we have, the more we grow, the more reporters we could hire, the more we could be out in the field with the people, giving the microphone back to the people. And as a reminder, to get you a little excited to become a member, here is a little reminder what we're about.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We're again tonight with the president not saying something, not tweeting, not punching back. Nothing at all about Stormy Daniels.
I don't like that people like when I'm with you more than when I'm not.
Lock us up at the gates of hell and we won't back down. We will stand our ground.
Our kids breaking out with blisters.
Lock us up at the gates of hell and we won't back down. We will stand our ground. The
government and the media would rather focus on the president's tweets, scary boogeymen from Russia, instead of people being poisoned.
We were driving up and we started seeing the lines to this church here. A lot of the churches in Flint are distribution centers for free bottled water.
It's sad to see that 4 years later, we're still going through the same thing as if it happened 3 months ago.
They said, oh, your water's totally clear for lead, it's fine. There's no way for them to know that.
I really do believe that this water, from us consuming all of this stuff, that is what caused my miscarriages.
I'm all broke out. I have picked my own pictures. I'm all broke out. I'm diabetic. I have like webs. And this is from the water.
You killed his body, then you killed his name. Why are you here if you have no answer?
Eric Cherry was killed on the streets of Chicago at 16 years old. That's my grandson.
We saw 24-year-old Maurice Granton shot in the back while running for police.
Right now, there is a hunt, and black boys are the prey.
When it was communities who are mostly wealthy, mostly white, it's like the pain is felt. But with something about our communities where I see our youth having to fight, literally needing support to get the rest of the world to understand that the everyday shootings they have to see and go right back to school after their friend was killed is just as painful. Like literally having to convince society that we can't take more pain, that we can't take this no more.
Polluting the water? Since when is profit more important than water? When is profit more important than people?
Hey, it's Jordan. I'm here in Flint, Michigan. I am here on Lakeshore Drive here in Chicago. I am here live in Dallas, beautiful Virginia. Hey, it's Jordan. I'm live in Arlington, Texas. Look at this destruction. You're not going to see this anywhere. You think CNN's coming up here? Please. Yeah, if you could prove Putin cut down the trees, they'll be here in a jiffy.
Status coup. Is now it's going to be called? Is it going to be statuscoup.com?
Yes. Most people are not lacking compassion. Most people do not know what the fuck is going on.
Hey, it's Jen breaking into your normally scheduled live stream to tell you a few cool things. First of all, we've been getting lots of questions about whether it's possible to gift a membership to someone else for our statuscoup.com/join membership area. And the answer is yes. All you have to do is enter in your friend or family member or whoever it is, your dog, enter in their email address, and you pay for it. That's all. You just enter in their email address, so they'll get the welcome email with the login and the password, all that stuff. You'll use Stripe or PayPal, and they'll get access. You'll pay for it because it's your gift, and they will not have any access to your payment information because it's all through Stripe or PayPal. So that's all you do. So let's say you're signing your dog up. First of all, let's hope your dog has an email address. Just go to statuscoup.com/join, enter in your dog's email address, choose a username and a password for your doggy, then use Stripe or PayPal to check out, and lo and behold, your doggy will receive their welcome email with their login information, and you'll be paying for it for them. For $5 a month, $10 a month, whichever option you've chosen, you'll be paying for it. A lot of people have been choosing the annual membership option. It's a great present for someone to spend the $197 for an annual membership. So sign your doggy up, sign your neighbor up, sign your friend up, sign your family member up, sign everybody up for membership for Status Coup. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So there was the great Jen Dyes, and that's how you can gift membership, because a lot of you have asked that. So getting back to clueless Joe Biden. Oh, God. So apparently Joe Biden thinks he's, running in the 1950s. He apparently backs the Hyde Amendment. For those of you that don't know what the Hyde Amendment is, it was an amendment that banned government funding for abortion. Joe Biden, he's on the record now. He's for it. It's for the Hyde Amendment. Former Vice President Joe Biden, who has shunned today's Democratic Party orthodoxy on issues from crime to compromising with Republicans, again broke with his party's base and many of his campaign rivals on Wednesday when his campaign confirmed that he still backs the Hyde Amendment, a measure that prohibits the use of federal funds for abortion with exceptions for cases involving rape, incest, and when the life of the mother is in danger. The backlash to Mr. Biden, who despite leading early presidential polls faces skepticism from his party's progressive wing, came swiftly from lawmakers and activists who support abortion rights, with many noting that the Hyde Amendment disproportionately affects economically disadvantaged women and women of color. The problem is the Hyde Amendment affects poor women, women of color, black women, Hispanic women, says Patty Solis Doyle, who served as Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign manager in 2008 and has also worked with Biden. And women of color will elect the next president of the United States. Several of Biden's primary opponents moved quickly, blah, 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 blah. So, first of all, at a time when state legislatures all over this country are now moving to, on a local level, ban abortion. At a time when you have Brett Kavanaugh as the new Supreme Court justice. I don't want to scare anyone, but obviously you got, an older judge in Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You got some other old folks on the Democratic side. At a time when Roe versus Wade is now a major, major topic, we're supposed to get behind a Democrat for president who says he supports banning government funding for abortions, which, by the way, government funding for abortions isn't about whether the government is pro-choice or pro-life. It's about health care for low-income women. It's about health care for low-income, largely minority women. Because abortion, I know I'm not a woman, but to me, it is a health care issue. It's not it shouldn't be a religious issue, because last time I checked, we do have a separation of church and state in this country, but it doesn't apply when you have people like Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden at the helm. So I don't really care if Joe Biden says, well, I'm pro-choice, except in the case of incest, rape. I'm pro-choice, but don't think government should fund it. Well, frankly, I don't really care what Joe Biden is today, because I care about what does this man truly believe. Because you have to get to the root of what somebody truly believes to know, can you trust him to go to bat when it matters? Well, this is what he had to say in the 1970s when he first entered the Senate. This was in an interview. I don't like the Supreme Court decision on abortion. I think it went too far. I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say what should happen to her body. Not going to say anything. I just want that to sink in for a few minutes. I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say what should happen to her body. I don't care if this was in the 1970s. This is a unfathomable statement for a Democrat to say. And if you believe this when you were in your 30s, this is not a teenager saying this. If you believe this when you were in your 30s, I can't think that you genuinely, if elected president, and it really comes down to it, are the strongest person to defend Roe versus Wade or to defend female reproductive rights. I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say what should happen to her body. Who else should have a right? I mean, if a man impregnates a woman and she wants to get an abortion, should the woman have a conversation with the man? Sure. But the man shouldn't really have a say. It's the woman's body, in my opinion. He could be talked to. The woman could talk to him. But ultimately, it's her body. You know, I just got back surgery. Should somebody else have a say in whether I choose to go under the knife? Abortion is no different. The fact that this statement was made by a Democratic frontrunner, I mean, that's something I would think Todd Akin might say. You remember that nutty guy who talked about legitimate rape? This is something I could hear, Pat Roberts saying, or Billy Graham saying, or one of these nutty for-profit TV evangelical ministers. But it doesn't stop there. He wrote this to a constituent in 1994. Those of us who are opposed to abortion should not be compelled to pay for them. Biden wrote to a constituent in 1994. I don't know about you, but 1994, what is that, 25 years ago? When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. That's the police coming for Biden and his 1950s views of women in the world. So, Trump, it doesn't matter if Trump flip-flops, because Republican voters are going to go with Trump no matter what. I think there's a decent amount of Republicans who would be open to Bernie Sanders if he's the nominee. But let's say it's Biden versus Trump. You think these comments and these views are not going to come and bite Joe Biden in the behind with women voters? I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say that what should happen to her body. It's kind of the equivalent of when he made his comments in the 1970s. I don't think I'm paraphrasing. I don't know the exact quote, but I don't think, should we give African Americans a head start to even the race? I don't believe in that. I mean, Joe Biden has said and supported policy that's pretty much offensive to black people, to brown people, to women. I mean, he's running out of people to offend. I mean, it's truly, truly unbelievable. And in 1981, for example, Biden proposed the Foreign Assistance Act, which barred U.S. aid from being used for any medical research on abortion. It's still in effect to this day. He has also voted in support of the Hyde Amendment, which we just talked about. He also supported former President Ronald Reagan's global gag rule, which prohibits the U.S. funding any non-governmental organizations that offer or advise on reproductive health care if they also offer abortion. President Trump revived that in 2017. Biden has also consistently voted in support of banning so-called partial birth abortions, the medical term for which is dilation and extraction. These procedures are often politicized despite heart-wrenching stories from women whose lives were saved because of them. I mean, listen, folks, if you want to run Bob Dole against Donald Trump, we'll have another 4 years of Donald Trump. Because I'm not voting for Bob Dole. I'll tell you that much. I'm not voting for Bob Dole. Joe Biden, and there was a great piece in New York Magazine, Joe Biden some things he's truly ideological about, some things he truly believes. But he's a political windsurfer. He surfs with the political winds, just like the rest of them. Hillary Clinton was a progressive who gets things done. I argued with people saying, oh, but Jordan, she's adopting all these progressive policies. Yeah, you think she's actually going to follow through if elected? I don't. I don't know about you women in the super chat, by the way, if you're feeling super. I don't care if a man said this in the 1970s. It's not like, okay, it was a while ago. If a man at 30-something years old said, I don't believe women are the only ones that should have a right, have a say, what happens with their body? No. I don't want that person running the country. And if he's actively, today, saying, I don't support government funds for abortions, who are you trying to become the nominee for? The Democratic Party or the Republican Party? Seems like the Republican Party to me. I got news for you guys. I'm going to have Colin make a graphic. I've said this over and over. There's a slow-moving train wreck happening, and the train conductor is Joe Biden. I don't want to hear anything that Jimmy or I or the radical left reelected Trump. If they push this guy, if they rig this for Joe Biden, I honestly think Joe Biden might lose even worse than Hillary Clinton. He's such a bad candidate, and he's frankly, I think, worse than Hillary Clinton. And I have a really high bar to say that. But I think Joe Biden is worse than Hillary Clinton. I really do. And really, you have to also take a look at Barack Obama, who made this man his running mate. I mean, Obama's a thorough guy. I'm sure his advisors were a thorough guy, and they must have vetted this guy. But I mean, this guy is a Republican. Period, end of story. And don't get me wrong, I don't want another 4 years of Trump. When I was at the Young Turk, I said, I'd rather, if you put a gun to my head, would I rather 4 years of Donald Trump or 8 years of Hillary Clinton, I said, gun to my head, I'd rather 4 years of Trump. But I don't want another 4 years of Trump. 8 years of Trump is too much for me. I personally, not my viewers, I wouldn't tell my viewers what to do, but I personally, if it's not Bernie, I would swallow and vote for somebody I don't like as much if it meant getting rid of Trump. And then I would fight that newly elected president. I would swallow to a certain degree if it meant defeating Trump, because I got to be consistent. I said I'd take 4 years of Trump. If there's a chance we're going to get 8 years of Trump, which there is a chance if it's not Bernie, I would potentially have to swallow my pride and personally vote for somebody that I don't actively support. But Joe Biden is a step too far for me, personally. I don't know if I could actually bring myself to vote for Joe Biden. Because it's more of the same, more of the same. He's a warmonger. He's a corporatist. He'll sound a lot nicer than Trump, but talk is cheap. I don't really care. Speaking of the general election, a new poll shows Biden and Sanders with the same exact lead over Donald Trump in Michigan. I truly believe this election comes down to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. You could throw in some states that might be on the bubble. I think Arizona could potentially be on the bubble in a general election. But both Bernie and Joe Biden beating Trump 53 to 41% in a new poll conducted by Detroit News. So you got Biden up 12, Bernie up. Oh, is that 12 or 53 to 41? So yeah, 12. Why is this important? Who has the potential in a state like Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania? Which one that's up 12 points right now over Donald Trump has the potential to go down? Is it Bernie or is it Joe Biden? Because I got news for you. I was there at these rallies. I was there covering Trump's rallies in Michigan and Wisconsin and Ohio and Pennsylvania. I got the scars to prove it. And when they hear about Joe Biden and NAFTA, when they hear about Joe Biden taking money from union busters, when they hear that Joe Biden is actively fundraising with those that tried to push the TPP, which I'll have a story out about, when they hear that Joe Biden, if elected president, probably would revive the TPP, you think Joe Biden's going to be beating Donald Trump by 12 points in Michigan? I think not. Bernie Sanders' support only has the ability to go up. But CNN and the New York Times, Bernie is, Joe Biden is more electable. Joe Biden is the electable candidate. Yeah. It's about as electable as my left toe in Michigan and Wisconsin and Ohio. It's propaganda, straight up. And Bernie's campaign manager, Fez Shakir, and I talk about that. I'm going to have a write-up of our interview. I just interviewed him. By the way, we're now at $55,552. So thank you, Patrick Coyne, $27 in the GoFundMe. Thank you, Anonymous, $25 in the GoFundMe. Thank you, Kelly Elaine, always contributing. Thank you. Now at $55,552. So we're about $450 away from $56,000. I know it's hard to keep the urgency in this GoFundMe. I know a lot of you have donated, some of you 2 times, 3 times, some of you 10, 20 times. Thank you. Keep it coming. This is how we're going to keep our new reporter, Marcus. If you haven't noticed, we have a new reporter. He was out covering Bernie in Nevada and California, and we're going to try to keep him, but we need to raise more money to do so. A lot more money. So I hope you like what you see. He's definitely new. He does have some room for improvement, and I'm going to mentor him as best as I can. But we need you to make it happen. So keep it coming. Thanks for the GoFundMe contributions. I'll button this up with Biden. If you think Joe Biden is going to bring you to the promised land, in those states, and he's going to be the difference to beat Trump in those states, you are committing political suicide, and you deserve a reelected Donald Trump, because that's exactly what's going to happen. The people of Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, they didn't magically in 3.5 years suddenly change whether they're pissed off about NAFTA, whether they hate the TPP or not. They still hate NAFTA, they still hate the TPP, and Trump will be able to con them again to say, well, I got rid of NAFTA and I redid NAFTA, even though his redone NAFTA is as bad as the original. It doesn't have worker protections, barely has labor protections. So, that's the deal, folks. That is the deal. Bernie Sanders, productive, good day. First Walmart. Joe Biden, he's for the Hyde Amendment. He says the crime bill wasn't a mistake. Wait till this man gets on the debate stage. I think the DNC is going to try to rig it, where Bernie and Biden are not on that same debate stage. I want to know the actual process, and I'm going to ask the DNC about this, about how they're going to randomly select. Because random selection, let's find out how random this is. So, before I go, I want to remind you, we are very, very much a product of you, the viewer. So thank you to all of our 437 members. I hope if some of you are on the edge, or kind of what is that phrase? I just forgot. Sitting on the edge or whatever. I hope today has nudged you over a little bit. We're going to have more in the field reporting in the next few weeks. We're going to have more members content, and we can't do this without you. So I'd like to see that number get up to 450, hopefully by the end of this week, and then we're shooting for 500 at the end of this month. It's a big goal, but I think we could do it. Keep it coming. Become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Some of you have asked, what do you prefer? If I could only do one, GoFundMe or member, become a member. Consistent support, consistent revenue is how we're going to grow. But if you could do both, even better. We're definitely not trying to limit you. So if you want to contribute via GoFundMe too, that's awesome. I'll be back tomorrow. For now, remember, most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no bleeping idea what in God's name is going on. Peace out.